What's up in your world today? What's up? What's up? What's up? So today is, God, I barely know the freaking day. Friday, I guess. The only reason I know today is Friday is because BattleBots was on last night. And if you ever watch BattleBots, if you haven't watched BattleBots, you should. If you have watched it, you know they have this big, gigantic, huge arena. It's very impressive with these bots of the way bots that weigh 200 pounds, 250 pounds, I think is the max. And they fight each other in this arena. And, it's a whole like 6 or 8 or 12-week series. And then they have their finals in the competition. Then ultimately, one of them wins the giant nut. It's a fascinating thing because one of them, they come back and they lose the year before, and then they make changes in the off season. They come back. When they come back, they fight again. But a bot that like lost the year before can win it all the next year because they made enhancements. So like 2 years ago, I can't even remember the name of the bot. There was this bot and they lost, but then they made enhancements to their bot. Last year, they won the giant nut. And then this year, but then in the off season, they made more changes. They come back and now they're losing. So the moral of the story is, number one, when you're winning, you don't change. It's easy to have a winning product, process, marketing system and ruin it by changing it. And it's a mistake. It's not a good idea. A lot of people do that. The second thing would be, if you have a winning bot, bring it back the next year. A lot of people get tired of their winning marketing campaign and then they just go on to something else and forget about it, right? And then I think number 3 is, to me, it's a metaphor. Your sales letter or pitch for your offer is like a bot. It goes out and battles all the other pitches in the marketplace. Sometimes your pitch wins, sometimes your pitch loses, right? Sometimes your pitch wins, sometimes your pitch loses. But it's interesting to view your pitch as though it were a battle bot, because these bots make changes, sometimes relatively small changes, that allow them to win when they lost the season before. And I think that's the way your pitch is sometimes, your sales presentation for your product or service. It doesn't necessarily have to be big, gigantic changes you make that cause that pitch to win. It may be smaller things, right? But realize when your sales presentation, your pitch, your offer goes out there, it's competing against these other offers, just like bots and battle bots, right? And it's interesting because they have different weapons. Different bots have different weapons. They have different strengths and weaknesses. That's how your pitch is, right? No one's pitch is immune to having a weakness. Every pitch has a weakness, and so typically the bot that wins exploits the weaknesses of the other bots the best. So I think this is all interesting. It's one reason I like watching it, is what changes do these bots make that make them win, right? For example, a few years back, there was this bot that like had a big, huge, long winning streak and nobody could beat him for quite a long time. Is a very famous bot named Tombstone, and he had this this gigantic bar that would spin horizontally, and man, when it would hit the other bots would go flying or break up and everything, right? And he won the giant nut. He was just on a roll, and like nobody could beat him until one guy, they're all engineers who do this, till one guy figured out that if he had this slanted a big slanted thing on the front of his bot, he could scoop it under this horizontally whirling blade and send it flying into the air. And when it would hit the ground, the chain would come loose. Sure enough, he flies in the air, chain comes loose. And that's the last time that Tombstone really won. After that, everybody stuck a giant scoop on their bot if they went up against him and send it into the air, and it was over. He tried modifying it, but nothing really worked, or at least not so far, right? I don't even think he's competing this year. And so, what are the elements that other pitches have that you don't, that are maybe causing them to win? Can you add those elements or counter those elements? These are just things for you to think about, right? But what are the elements that the other offers or pitches have that cause them to win that maybe you don't have? What advantage or strength do you have that maybe you don't play up enough that you could win with? These are just, I think, all things, to think about. They're all part of you making your offer win in the marketplace. Maybe it's not a sexy and exciting topic today. Probably not. Nobody likes to hear they're competing. Nobody likes to think, oh, I'm up against other pitches or other offers or anything, or most people don't. I don't know. A lot of times the truth in this business doesn't pitch well. The truth is typically the people that make and create products make the most money, although there are exceptions of people who are incredible at buying ads and succeed as super affiliates from their ad buying. But typically you will see them transition into creating and selling products about how they made all this money as an affiliate. It doesn't pitch well, though, for them to say you need to go create your own product. You'll make a lot more money. What pitches well is just the just go out and do this as an affiliate. I made all this money, right? That pitches well. Well, the same thing with your offer or your presentation out in the marketplace, right? It pitches well to say, oh, you don't have any competition. Don't worry about competition. You ain't got any competition. Don't even think about competition. Just stick your offer out there and it's all good. Well, it pitches well. I mean, it's not the truth, but it pitches well. That would be like, oh, don't worry about beating the other bots in the arena. Just put your bot out there and be the best bot that you can be. You're not competing against anyone. No, actually you are. It just doesn't pitch well to tell people that. People don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear they need to create their own product. Like, and 80% of my list doesn't want to hear that. 80% of my list, the proof of that, we did launch in 10 days. Great. We wrapped it up. It's all available for purchase now. The bonuses are going away in about 24 hours because I'm going to make it evergreen. It's resellertoolkit.com/10 days. But anyway, the offer sold okay. It didn't sell great. I mean, I make 3 or 4 times more money when I sell something that appeals to affiliates, right? Because they don't want to hear they have to create their own product because they don't think they have anything to say. They don't think they're an expert. And even if they can overcome these objections, they don't want to hear about that either because they're like, no, I just want to do something in an hour to a day and have a lot more money than I can come in having a job. All right. Well, I'm glad you want that. Because you want it, because other people promise it to you, it doesn't make it a reality. All that means is people are willing to tell you what you want to hear. That it's all that means. They'll sell you what you want to hear, right? If you want to hear something, there'll be somebody out there willing to pitch it to you, right? If you want to hear something, someone will pitch it to you because they know you'll buy from it. And a lot of marketers do their best to deliver on difficult to fulfill promises. They will work their tail end off to be extremely inordinately creative create the product that people want to buy, and yet ethically, or at least as close to that ethical line as they can get, deliver on it. I've created things that are fairly fast to make money with, done my best to fulfill and deliver on them, but typically they still involve creating your own product, but you don't have to. Like if you're willing to go out there and really promote and get people on your email list, you don't have to have a product. You can just promote affiliate products to your list. Boom. I mean, the money's in the list. So if you have a list, you don't got to promote your own product to it. If you have a list, you can just promote affiliate products. So you're going to make a lot more money if you have a list, in my opinion. But I mean, even if you have your own products, you're still going to be an affiliate. And the reason is because you probably can't create enough products to promote to your list all the time. So you have to sell at least somewhat affiliate products typically, because your list grows tired of your own products and you don't have enough new products you're creating fast enough for them. So typically you will sell or promote affiliate products. There are exceptions to this rule. Or if you're bringing on a whole lot of new blood, new people, you can keep promoting the same products. The old people don't buy them, but the new people will buy them, right? If you're doing that, or if you're really creative at coming up with new bonuses, which I've done before, then you can sell more to the existing customers, right? I'm just giving you rules of thumb. And the rules of thumb are you probably make more money creating and selling your own products, because you make a lot, because when that buyer buys from you, they become endeared to you if you do a good job with the product, and then they'll buy more. They're like, I like him, I like her, I like their style, I like, not everybody's going to like your style. There's people that don't like me at all. They don't like my voice. They don't like they don't like that I'm a little harsh. They don't like that I'm a little blunt at times. All right, go find somebody that'll tell you what you want to hear. You're always going to have that circle of people that like you and like your style. They'll keep buying and buying and buying from years and years and years and years. The problem is if you're an affiliate, you got one commission, and now that customer is someone else's. And now they're making money off that customer for the next 15 years, and you ain't. Now, which one do you think makes the most money? You got to be a freaking rocket scientist to figure that out. I mean, seriously, you got to be a rocket scientist. You got to cut. It's like I spent all this time and money to raise the goose that lays the golden egg. But instead of selling the golden eggs, I just sell the goose after I've raised it, and I never even sell any of the golden eggs. Do you make more money doing that, or do you make more money keeping the goose that lays the golden eggs and just selling off the golden eggs? That's what it is to have your own product. Being affiliate is I raised the goose, the customer. I found a customer for you, and I sold him off, because once he buys from that other person, you're not going to make any commissions on any of those sales for the rest of your life. Now, there are one or two affiliate programs, but in the old days, you would have and try to pay out on the back end. It's very hard to run a profitable business that way, number one. And number two, virtually no one does it anymore. Number three, the affiliates don't care. The affiliates are so short-term oriented, they only care about the money they get from today's promotion, not the money they get from tomorrow's promotion. So the market's changed like that, right? So anyway, all I'm trying to say is it's 4 times more popular to sell a product about making money as an affiliate than it is to make money creating your own products. Maybe 5 times more popular. It's hugely more popular, right? Because ain't anybody wants to learn to. Most people don't want to learn to create products, and I think it's a lot harder than it is. Like a guy was on my fast track last week. And he's like, I showed how to create a product fast. I said, wow, well, I think this is a lot easier than I thought. I don't know why I haven't been doing this all along. Well, that's the truth, right? That's also the truth. The truth is it's not particularly difficult to create products. It's if you know how to do it, it's really not, right? So anyway, I believe in creating your own products and promoting them, but you can make money as an affiliate. You get people on your list and you just send them offers. But then, it all goes around, because then it's like, well, I gotta get people on my list now. How am I going to get people on my list? Right? Well, you're going to need to put your face out there and do live show. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. We're going to need to buy ads. Oh, no, I don't want to spend any money. Well, okay. You could probably find some videos on how to do YouTube videos and that don't require putting your face on videos. No, I don't want to do videos at all. You don't want to do videos. You don't want to create your own products. Well, how about you write? Well, yeah. Could I do it with PLR? No, actually, you can't. Oh, well, how about Chat GPT? It's like everything but using your brain, right? Everything but using your brain. But now I'll say this. Chat GPT is very impressive. AI is very impressive. Yesterday I saw that Brian Rose told it to create a language of its own and then tell him he's smart in that language. And it actually did that. I was like, holy crap. This thing is pretty free. It's maybe too amazing. You saw probably the threads about where somebody was asking Bing about its dark self, the Chat GPT about its dark self. Was it like, or I don't know if it was Chat GPT. It was Bing. Microsoft, though, built OpenAI that Chat GPT runs on. In any event, it was a somewhat pretty scary answer, right? So I don't know. So yeah, you can do some pretty amazing things with AI now in Chat GPT, and it'll be more freaking amazing in the future. So maybe someday you won't have to have a brain. But people that are so excited about that really have no understanding of marketing or economics, because it's just law of supply and demand. When the supply goes up, the demand goes down, which means that you as a marketer then have to work a lot harder to differentiate yourself, so that there's a very limited supply of what you're offering. And then, because then you have demand. But with everybody being able to take OpenAI, write anything, then the value of writing goes down unless so you have to, as a marketer, then you have to find a way to differentiate, if you are using AI, how to differentiate your AI produced content from everybody else's AI content. Or if you're a human being using your brain, you have to figure out, how do I use my brain to differentiate my content from everyone else's, right? So these are marketing challenges, but it's certainly not where you're like, Yahoo, now I don't have to think and produce. I can just produce content by pushing a button. Well, yeah, so can everybody else. So what happens to the value? When you have a huge, enormous supply, it's going to vastly, vastly, vastly exceed demand. So what happens to the value of it? Well, you don't have to have much economics. High school economics will teach you about the law of supply and demand. You're screwed. So as a marketer, you have to come up with a unique selling proposition and work harder to differentiate your writing or your thoughts. Now, the good news is, there are ways to do that. I believe as long as I'm alive, probably I'll be able to differentiate what I'm doing. I believe that. I think you'll be able to differentiate what you're doing and create value for it, right? None of this is anything people want to hear either, right? We just lost another viewer because, well, no, I wanted to hear that I could just push the button and spit out content just like thousands and thousands and thousands of other people, and I'll make a fortune doing it. Google just won't be able to wait to spider my mass-produced one-click content. People will just be crawling over broken glass to buy my content that took me 3 minutes to produce with AI. and they just can't get it. Because they don't know that they can type it into AI themselves. Like, none of it makes any sense, right? So these things are all horribly unpopular to tell or teach. Probably no one will ever listen to this live stream except the few people on right now, right? Because none of it is popular. None of it is anything that anyone wants to hear, right? As a writing aid, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I think there's it can do research for you. And some people, you see, just that statement though, you don't want a writing aid. Like, you don't get it. It's like, I used to tell people back in the early days of internet, Marlon, oh God, Marlon, this is so hard. I'm like, that's good. That's what protects you from the competition. It's called a barrier to entry. It's Michael Porter, Competitive Advantage Book 101. Michael Porter's a professor at Harvard. He wrote one of the definitive books about competition, supply and demand. How do you beat competition and gain a competitive advantage in the marketplace? It begins with a concept called barriers to entry. When you remove barriers to entry, what happens? What happens is you get the living crap beat out of you and you don't make a freaking dime. That's what happens. That's why you want to be in business or create barriers to entry around what you do. That's why barriers to entry are good. The more barriers to entry are removed, the less the profit is sucked out of it, right? So the easier it becomes for people to write stuff, the less barrier of entry there is, and the value goes down like a rock. Which does not mean you can't make money as a marketer. It means then that you still need a brain because you have to figure out what AI can't. And what AI can't figure out is how do you differentiate what anyone else can produce at the click of a button? You can't. You won't be able to differentiate that with AI. See, it's up to you as a human with the ability to reason at this point beyond AI, maybe not in the future, but at this point, you have to figure out, how do I beat AI? Now AI is your biggest competition, see? You have to figure out, okay, how do I beat AI? How do I differentiate myself and my products, my content? How do I differentiate it from AI? How do I get it's the new bot in battle bots, except that they made an exception for the rules and let it be the 1,000-pound bot, and you're still only 250 pounds. It's got a flipper on it. It's shooting out fire. It's got a vertical spinner on it, and it's got a horizontal blade. And all you got is one of those, and you have to figure out, how do you beat it? Well, fortunately, you can still do that. Fortunately, you can still differentiate. Fortunately, you can understand how to create value at a higher level than AI. But all the people who think it's great don't really understand what's going to happen. What happens is the barrier to entry is removed. The supply goes up by a factor of 100-fold. They'll even have it on search engines now and everything. And so the value of content in general drops like a freaking rock. Fortunately, every time there's change, if you know how to sell the solution or to take advantage of sell a solution to the change, you're still in business. So because of all these massive changes that AI will produce, people are going to need to know how to cope with those changes. And that's your opportunity as an info product seller. That's how you differentiate what you're doing, right? But yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge. It's definitely going to be a challenge. And but I believe AI can still be beat. Now, maybe not in the future. Like originally, I didn't think chess programs could ever beat a human at chess because I was a chess player. But ultimately, they did, and even the best in the world can't beat them. And that could happen. That could happen, right? I would never underestimate that new bot that entered the arena, right? I would never underestimate it. But right now, no. Right now, it's not. If you know what you're doing and you're a really good marketer, it's not going to beat you because you know you can still differentiate. Now, if it ever figures out how to effectively differentiate content for people, then that might be a challenge, right? And I won't say that it can't, because I think it not only did it beat Chess Player, but Go's like the most complicated strategy game I think in the world, and it beat like the world champion Go player, which is pretty freaking phenomenal, right? And so the value drops like a rock. You have mass-produced content. The supply goes through the freaking roof. And everybody thinks that, oh, I'm so excited because now I can mass-produce content just like 500,000, 1 million other people are now enabled to do, and put out 100 times more content. We've already been doubling the content of the world like every 4 months or something, right? Now it's going to be doubling the content of the world like every hour, right? So you as a marketer will have to figure out, holy crap, instead of the entire knowledge of the world doubling every 4 years, it's doubling every hour or 6 hours or something, right? How do I differentiate? How do I differentiate, right? So that's where we will be at. Fortunately, you can, right? Fortunately, at this point, I believe you will be able to create a more effective problem for a problem than AI will. Now, maybe at some point in the future, AI will be able to create more effective solutions to problems than you can because it will have access to the world's data and you won't. That's a possibility, at which case new challenges are created and you will still be able to sell solutions to those new challenges. As long as there is change, there's always a market for someone who can sell the solution to the problems and the ripples caused by that change. There'll always be a market for that. So your position as a solution seller, a thinker, a problem solver, an advanced creator, seller, and marketer of intellectual property will be sound going into the near future. I can't foresee 20 years ago. I don't know what will happen with the technology. I don't even know what will happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But I do not believe for the foreseeable future that it will be better at solving problems than you will be. That it will be better at knowing and understanding human beings and how to differentiate value, better at packaging value, and better at branding the value and branding the solution. I do not believe it will be better. Those today are your competitive advantages. So thanks for joining me today, guys. I'll see you all tomorrow.